Hello and welcome everyone to another Comic Movie Marks video.
Alright WB, let's talk about this step in the right direction.
What are you planning to do?
I don't really have a plan as such. I'm pretty much going moment to moment right now.
I think the Flashpoint story it's my favorite story. I would love to do it. But, DC is DC, and they're, it's a constant. It seems like they're always kind of switching up who's running it and what they're going to do.
I don't understand. How the do you get a job and up everything? Everything.
With recent comments from CEO of Warner Media Ann Sarnoff, the landscape of the DCEU has completely changed from what we originally thought was going to happen. In that recent Variety article, when Sarnoff was asked about hashtag restore the Snyderverse, she answered with, "We're happy we've done this, but we're very excited about the plans we have for all the multi-dimensional DC characters that are being developed right now."
She continues, "We've got an incredible group of creators, television series creators, Max series creators, feature film creators, who are basically broadening the base of the talent that we work with on DC because we're so excited about the potential to build out the DC multiverse.
We're always going to listen to our fans, but we are in service of the broadest fan base. We owe them an integrated, holistic strategy."
What the fuck does that even mean?
Seemingly, DC changes directions more than Saban changes Power Rangers. For years, we've heard DC was taking a step in the right direction. We've heard this before with Justice League, after Aquaman, and now yet again. After Aquaman's success, Sujihara came out saying the upcoming slate with Shazam, Joker, Wonder Woman 1984, and Birds of Prey feels like we're on the right track. We have the right people and the right jobs working on it. The universe isn't as connected as we thought it was going to be 5 years ago. You're seeing much more focus on individual experiences around individual characters. That's not to say we won't at some point come back to that notion of a more connected universe, but it feels like that's the right strategy for us right now.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
When you look at the long-standing history that Warner Brothers has with the DCEU, it doesn't really bode well. Besides Man of Steel and maybe Wonder Woman 84, time will only tell on that one, there's been some form or fashion of either interference or poor decision-making in every DC movie for the past 6 years. The Batman vs. Superman theatrical cut fiasco, Suicide Squad reshoots, the Wonder Woman third act alterations, Justice League, everything, Aquaman's date being pushed back due to reshoots, Shazam's shitty marketing, and the fact that the release date was wedged in between the bootleg Captain Marvel and Endgame. And then even look at some of the successes they had with the Joker, the lack of merchandise and awareness of the popularity of the character, and even basic investment in the project. They only got about 25% of the box office of the Joker.
We had a really hard time getting that film made, which seems insane today. Now, seeing how well the movie's done, we spent a year at Warner Brothers, and I saw emails back and forth, literally where they said, "Does he realize," meaning me, "does he realize we sell Joker pajamas at Target?" And so,
is that true?
It's very what you're saying. Where doesn't the movies come first, the pajamas come second? Like, are the pajamas dictating the movies?
No.
You can't make your decisions based on that, and that was my argument, of course, was we're really going to dictate, movies based on pajamas.
And then, of course, Birds of Prey.
Release the yawn cut!
No.
After 8 years, Black Adam finally started filming, and The Flash finally has a release date, as of right now.
Maybe. Sort of. One of the most recent casualties to this multiverse of madness, James Wan's The Trench and Ava DuVernay's New Gods were canceled, put on the shelf indefinitely after years of work. A lot of speculation of why this happened. Some people blame the Snyder Cut because it showed 10 minutes of Darkseid, not even that. That makes perfect sense. But there's also other possibilities. Mark Hughes from Forbes says New Gods cancellation isn't related to Zack Snyder's Justice League. It was canceled because that project and its sequels no longer fit into changed plans for the DCEU. The changed plans also have nothing to do with Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's because the Flashpoint film is resetting the DCEU with a slate of connected projects. So this big universe-altering movie is being written by Bumblebee and Birds of Prey writer Christina Hudson, and one of the major influences on the film, Greg Berlanti, who did the Arrowverse and almost everything you've ever seen on the CW. Because when you think quality, you think CW.
One thing I think all DC fans can be envious of is the plan that the MCU had from the very beginning. Some of it was maybe loosely formatted, but they at least kind of knew the direction they wanted to go. They had certain things like the Tesseract from the very beginning that contained the Space Stone, the first appearance of Thanos in the MCU and Avengers. 6 years later, we got him finally in Infinity War. And then even in Guardians of the Galaxy, the Collector explaining the Infinity Stones in 2014. Even though 4 years later we finally got the payoffs, they at least had a format and a structure and knew the direction they wanted to go. Some of the film's plots may have changed and evolved, such as with Captain America Civil War. Joe Russo even mentioned an adage that we always use at Marvel is people can tell you they fucking love chocolate ice cream, but if you give them chocolate ice cream every day for 5 days, then by day 5, they're going to be like, I hate chocolate ice cream. You have to be predictive. You have to be a futurist. You have to look ahead 2 years because you're starting these movies 2 years before they come out. And you have to ask, where is storytelling going to go? It wasn't until Batman vs. Superman was coming out that they decided we need to change directions here. We need to start deconstructing at least a little bit of our characters. But the overall story arc was laid out. When Phase 3 was announced, every film, aside from Inhumans, made it to theaters. We cannot say the same thing for the DCEU.
This has always been really annoying for us because we hate to compare the MCU to the DCEU. It frustrates us to no end. But when you sit back and look, you're like, wow, that was the plan. And then you find out that there was a plan. Recently, we got to see the whiteboards that was Zack Snyder's 5-film arc. Jim Lee would even hit Twitter talking about these whiteboards. One of the coolest parts of my job is getting to see, create, and do things out of the ordinary. Toughest part is accepting the fact that some things may remain secret forever. For example, I never thought these dry erase sketches I did way back in December of 2015 would ever see the light of day. And here we are 6 years later, and these whiteboards, although now finished, this was just a work in progress snap, are encased in a lucite on display in the AT&T Discovery District lobby to promote the upcoming release of the Snyder Cut on HBO Max.
But with recent comments from writer Chris Terrio, even those plans were guidelines at best. Terrio would say, I was not consulted on the order of the films, even though I was the person writing Justice League, and I was told to conform to this schedule.
But because of the reaction to Batman vs. Superman, there was a huge overhaul of those plans. Snyder would say there was definitely a shift in confidence that they had, and I think that kept multiplying as we went along. They had this giant IP, and their confidence in my point of view had eroded. This is kind of a fascinating outlook on things when you go back to that Multiverse 101 panel. It is all too obvious now the multiverse is going to be used to close the door on the Snyderverse.
When we first heard about the multiverse, the marks were in favor of it. It seemed like an example of we can have our cake and eat it too. It felt like the studio was maybe going to go one direction, but that did not mean that the Snyderverse would not continue. We knew the Snyder Cut was coming out, and we felt that this was a way that you can intertwine previous movies with Christopher Reeve, with Michael Keaton's Batman, and with the Snyderverse, and then also the future movies that they wanted to have. All of that could work together because of the multiverse. That's what it seemed like they were going to do. Let's please every fan we possibly can. To us, that was genius. However, that doesn't seem to be the case.
When Shane talks about having our cake and eating it too, another project that comes to mind is The Air Cut. According to Air, it wouldn't take that much to finish the project. And this is kind of what we were talking about with the multiverse. Why can't we have both? This is basically cheap content at this point. When Sarnoff said that there was no interest in an Air cut of Suicide Squad, it brings up questions of, well, why not?
Why? Because fuck them, that's why.
You have the multiverse. This is the point of a multiverse. One of the more baffling ideas by completely excluding the Air cut is Jared Leto's Joker is the most top searched thing about Suicide Squad, even now. He was put in the forefront for Zack Snyder's Justice League marketing as well. That brought a lot of eyes that didn't really care about the Snyder cut to the Snyder cut because they were showing Jared Leto's Joker. If David Ayer is telling the truth that his cut doesn't take that much to get done, why not get it done? Slap it on your streaming service as an exclusive, as an HBO Max original. That's just extra revenue. That's just extra content. It's all there. Business sense wise, it completely fits the profile of what that streaming service is meant to be. If you even go back to those Sarnoff quotes, she said that we're always going to listen to our fans, but we are in service of the broadest fan base. So you would think that would encompass everything. The Snyderverse, the old DC films, everything. Because guess what? That's your broadest fan base. Make everybody happy with all these different formats of movies. And because of your streaming service, you have the benefit of bringing this whole world together. The CW, HBO Max, and whatever's put on the big screen, you could have it into one big infinite crisis. But no, that doesn't seem to be the way they're gonna go. Slowly but surely, a lot of the characters from the Snyderverse are fading away. It looks like they're gonna go a different direction with Superman. I saw a lot of misconceptions that people thought that this was going to still be Henry Cavill's Superman, but done and written by someone completely different. No, this is going to be a completely different Superman. Henry Cavill at this point is at best a cameo spot in the DC universe.
Hi guys.
And what is already sounding like a very bloated Flash movie is going to be introducing a Supergirl.
Can you fly?
Can I fly?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you mean, can I fly?
Can you fly, Bobby?
Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, and Ezra Miller's Flash are the only things that are going to carry over from the Snyderverse. And even those movies are going to be less connected than ever after Flashpoint. When you look at the Green Lantern Corps HBO Max series, you have people like Mark Guggenheim, and Greg Berlanti is part of that as well. Now, if you don't know, those two were also part of the 2011 Green Lantern movie. While I'm certainly not saying these two are responsible for the downfall of that movie, it just seems weird to dive back into that well. Why not give others a chance? Especially when you look at the Snyderverse. WB is done with the Snyderverse, right? They are moving on, but yet they're diving back into the well for these two individuals when it comes to Green Lantern.
Tom, if irony were made of strawberries, we'd all be drinking a lot of smoothies right now.
What's funny about the Restore the Snyderverse concept is that pretty much from the very moment Hamada and Sarnoff were brought in, they're pretty much programmed to alter and remove the DC universe from anything Snyderverse related. It's almost against their programming at this point to embrace anything Snyder related. But this literally goes against what the current executives at WB have been wanting to do. Only time will tell whether or not they truly regret their tone-deaf approach to the Snyderverse.
Hopefully intelligent people like Jason Kilar will take this as more than just a tweet. He says, I and the Warner Media team have been so impressed and moved by the passion exhibited by the Release the Snyder Cut fan base. Stories matter, storytellers matter. I am thrilled for Zack Snyder and the team that will be bringing his story to all of us as fans. What a great day. He also mentioned we are mighty fortunate here at Warner Media to have fans that are so passionate, rightly so, and I am too, by the way, about these beloved characters and amazing universes.
Oh, a man can dream, though. A man can dream.
When you think about the current plans for the DC multiverse, for me personally, I'm not that excited. If you go back to Mark Hughes' tweet about the Flash resetting the universe and opening up all these other possibilities for movies, there's still some potential there, and I guess we'll have to wait until 2022 before we can see this apparently amazing godlike plan that DC has. As of now, the only thing that I have an interest in is Matt Reeves' Batman. With the recent Suicide Squad trailers, I kind of start getting Marvel's sloppy seconds feels. So again, what DC and WB wants you to do is trust us, bro. We got this.
How about no?
Hopefully this video is a step in the right direction for the YouTube algorithm. Poof.
As always, thank you to all of our supporters and to all of our newest YouTube members. If you are interested in supporting us, we do have a YouTube membership. We do have a Patreon as well. You can find us on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Vero, MySpace, and so on.
OnlyFans, Tinder, WhatsApp,
Reddit,
AOL Messenger, Weibo. In case I don't see you.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
You